Hey guys, it's Chris. We call this Food for Thought Friday, just for fun. Just wanted to show you here on the whiteboard the couple of ways to make money in real estate. And I think those of you that have been in my classes, maybe some of you have heard this, and if so, I apologize, but I just think it's always worth reminding people. So basically, most people think there are two ways to make money in real estate. You can help people buy, or you can help people sell, right? And buy slash build. Yes, this is what we think. Buyers, sellers, listings, and buyers. But there's a third way, which is referring business. Referring business out, either to different builders or to realtors in other parts of the country. So which one of these is the most profitable? This is really a good question. In economics, we look at dollars per hour. So what is the most profitable activity? So buyers and sellers, if we just go with the Allen County average, is somewhere around, just for simple numbers, let's do 165,000, right? So a deal is 165,000. If you're good, you get 3% on that, whether it's a buyer or a seller. Now, the downward pressure on commissions, you might get a little less if it's a buyer, but if you're doing your job, oftentimes you get 3%, and it happens to be handy for the math. So this equals how much? 5 grand. 5K. My marker is giving me trouble here, so we're going to make it a Christmas chart with green now because I don't have black. So if you make 5,000 when you work with a buyer, you work for a seller, you make 5 grand. How many hours is required? So last year, this was before the market was tight, but not tight like it is now, right? You might make offers on 5 houses to get a buyer a house. So back in the day, the studies showed 40. I would say it's at least 50 hours from the first time you meet with a buyer until you happen to get them an accepted offer and get to closing. You got to go show the houses. You got to do the inspections. You got to do the final walkthrough. It's all time consuming with a buyer. Now with a seller, you got to go on one listing appointment. You got to do the CMA. But then stuff comes to you. You don't go on the inspection. You don't go on a final walkthrough. So the time is much less, and typically we would say it's about 20 hours from the time you get a seller, all the work you do negotiating, and you get to closing. It's about 20 hours altogether. Now a referral, let's say your aunt wants to move to Seattle. Oh, that would be lovely. So if your aunt wants to move to Seattle, you got to find an agent that's acceptable, that you're comfortable referring your aunt to in Seattle. How long does that take you to make that connection? Let's say you did some research for an hour, then you made the introduction, that took an hour, then you followed up a couple times, 15 minutes each until closing. Well, let's say it was 2 hours. Okay? Now, nationwide, the average isn't 165. I don't even know what it is, but let's just say your Seattle buyer buys at 500,000, and let's say the commission's 2.5% in Seattle because of downward pressure. So that's 12,500. With me? 2.5% of 500,000, the total commission, and then you get a quarter of that. Let's just say you get a quarter of that. How do you do the math on that? Let's just call it 3,000. So you made $3,000 here. You made $5,000 here, and you made $5,000 here. 5,000 working with a buyer, 5,000 working with a seller, 3,000 working with a referral. So if I look at the dollars per hour, if I made 5,000 in 50 hours, it's still pretty good. So this is dollars per hour up here. Still pretty good. I made $100 per hour. Who would work for, I'll work for $100 per hour, right? If I worked 20 hours to make the same 5,000, maybe it's a little less because you got to pay a photographer and so forth, but just easy math, 5,000, 20, what's that, $250 an hour. Is that right? 250? Yeah. $250 per hour. You see where I'm going with this. If you referred your aunt to the agent in Seattle and it closes, you make 2 hours, you're making $1,500 per hour. So this one, referring business to other realtors in other parts of the country, is by far your most profitable dollar per hour activity. Now, can you make a living off this? A lot of people have tried, including me. It's not that easy to do, but I want to make sure that every time you talk to somebody about buying and selling, you also talk to them about, hey, if a family member, somebody you care about, is moving to Indianapolis, let me find him a realtor. I know the right questions to ask. I know how to get somebody who's going to take really good care of your people. And if you can make that connection, $1,500 an hour. So we can't always, you might get 2 or 3 of these a year, but if you can get 3 of them a year, let's say you get 1 a quarter, this is $12,000. I don't know about you, but I'm game. I'm ready to get $12,000 extra dollars a year just by having the conversation, buy, sell, or introduce you to a quality realtor in another part of the country. All right. Hope that makes sense. Let me know what you think. Over and out.